Hello everyone, my name is Bilikis. How you all doing? Today's tutorial is going to be based on how to make a halter neck flare dress. Trust me, it's going to be beautiful, fitted and sexy. But before we get started, if you are new to this channel, just make sure you subscribe, hit on the notification bell, tell your friends about it. You can also join us on our Facebook group, Sewing Innovation. It is a very lovely closed group whereby you can learn from. Also follow me on Instagram, which is signature. And lastly, if you are interested in the tools, the hip curve, the pan curve and the hammer curve, it is very much available. I will put a contact link in the comment section below. It will be pinned, so that will be the first comment you will see. So right now, let's go over to the work table and get started. I will be making use of two fabrics to make this lovely dress. I will be making use of this and this. This will be for the main dress, while this will be for the flare and also for the roll, for the halter neck. Then the most important thing is you have to determine the length of your dress. The main dress will stop 2 inches above your knee level. You could even go as high as 3 inches depending on what you want. So for 2 inches above my knee measurement, I have 38 inches. That is from the nape of my neck down to the hem of the dress, with the ½ inch seam allowance at the lower part. I already made some markings here which I will go over it. Firstly, this first one is the basis for all my measurement, and because it's an halter neck, the rope is going to pass through the neck region. So I left 1½ inches for that. Looking at this, you will see it is 1½ inches for the row casing. Then the next thing now is half of my armhole measurement. Usually half of my armhole measurement is 8½, but because it's a free dress at the upper region, because it's halter neck, I just added ½ inch to it, so that made it 9. The next line is now my waist measurement, that is my vertical measurement. From the nape of my neck to my waist, I have 16½. Then I go further to my hip measurement, which is 24, and then to where the main dress will hang, which is 38. By the time I join to the flare, I will have 37½, which is very, very okay. So after doing that, the next thing we will do now is to do what? Insert our horizontal measurement. Like here now, quarter of my bust measurement, that is your bust circumference divided by 4, I have 10½. This is what I have here, but for ease I could just make it 11 inches. Since I have that, I will put a mark here. And do not forget, you will need 1 inch for the seam allowance. The next thing, I will go over to my waist. And remember, you will need a dart here. For this dress, I will be making use of waist dart. So normally, quarter of my waist measurement is 9½, which is here. But because I will need that here, and I will be taking in ½ inch on both sides, so that makes it 1. I will have to add that 1 inch to it, so that will make it 10½. So 10½ is here. Then extra 1 inch for the sewing allowance. I will go over to my hip. Quarter of my hip measurement is 11. 11, and then I'll add ½ inch each to it, which will make it 11½. Then do not forget the 1 inch sewing allowance. Because this is a fitted dress and I want it to be tapered around here, so what I will do is that I will just take 1 inch away from whatever I have here. Here I have 11½. So once I take 1 inch away from it, then I will have 10½. So 10½ will be here. You could even make it more tapered. If you are someone that is very, very hippie, you could make it even 10. Instead of 10½, you could make it 10, depending on what you want. And do not forget the 1 inch hemming allowance. Right now, we can connect all the lines. So first, I will make use of my ruler, then the hip curve. The tools are very much available in case you are interested in it. You use this part to do this. In case you don't want it to be curvy, in case you are not hip, you just take your ruler this way and then connect this way. Let me see that. So having done with that, we can come to the upper part region. For the upper part now, because it's an halter neck, you don't need any determining the slope or whatever. So all you just have to do is to insert your shoulder measurement. Half of my shoulder measurement is 8.5. Okay, 8.5. Then I will come over here to insert 8.5 on the chest line. Then I will take my ruler to join this. So you don't need to come in by 3/4 inch because it's an halter neck. All this will come forward. So I'll just take my hand hold and just curve it a little bit here. And we're as good as done. So the next thing now is to cut out our fabric. After cutting out the fabric, this is what it looks like. So the next thing now is to insert the dart. For the dart, you need your bust span measurement. That is the distance from one nipple to another. Mine is 4.5. So you just insert it on the chest line, on the waistline, and then on the hip line. 1/2. And I will connect in a straight line. So now for the dart, for the upper part, you just come down by 1 inch. Or first, you have to determine your bust point, that is from the nape of your neck down to your bust point, that is the highest part of your bust. How do you do that? Like mine is 10.5. So remember, this is the casing for the row. So you will start from here. So my 10.5 will be here. 10.5 is here. Can you see that? So that is the highest point of my bust. That is called the bust point. So the next thing now is to come down from there by 1 inch. And then from your hip, you go up by 2 inches. So your dart will be from here to here. Then the next thing now is to go in 1/2 inch on both sides on the waistline. This is the waistline. 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here. Then you connect it. So this is what you will be taking in for your dart. Can you see that? This is the dart, so you'll be sewing this in on the wrong side. So for the back, all you have to do is to come down from the chest line. This is the chest line. This is the bust point line here. This is bust point. So for the back, you won't have to come down 1 inch from the bust point, but it will be 1 inch from the chest line. And then you just go up by 1 inch. That is for the back panel. So right now, let's go over to the back panel. Right now for the back, I already have my fabric folded. But for the back, you just need from your chest line down to this place. Because it is only the front part that will be alternate. The back will just, like when you have your bustier top. So the back will just be from the chest line downward. So it will be from here. So if you want it lower, like a deeper back, you could just come down by 1/2 inch, 1 inch or 2 inches, and then connect with your hand curve down here. So you have your deep back. So what I'll do now is this. Do not forget, the back panel will have a zipper allowance. So I will fold this way. I will fold the chest line. Though we will need the hemming allowance for the back. So what I will do now is to open up this folded fabric I have for the back. Can you see that? So this is for the zipper allowance. So I just came down by 1 inch. This is for the hemming allowance for the upper part. So that was why I did that. So the next thing now is to place this way on this line which I came down by. Remember, after the zipper allowance, I have folded this. Remember I said the back will start from here. So this is what I will have. After doing this, then I can cut this out. So after doing that, then I will notch these areas. So I haven't done that. Then for this part, I'll just notch here because the line is already there. So after doing that, we are as good as done. So remember, I already explained that for the back. So now after doing this, if you want a deeper neckline for the back, as I've said, it will come down by 1 inch, 2 inches or 3, and then you connect from this part down here. But for me, I'm just okay with this. I'll just come down by half an inch. I can take my hip curve to bring it down this way. Can you see that? So I'll just finish the back with a bias strip. So I won't cut directly on this line. I'll just leave like 1/4 inch because I will be finishing it up with a bias strip. Can you see how I did that? So by the time I finish it up with the bias strip, it will come to this particular place, which will be the same with this. Then what I will do now is, I've explained the dart, I'll just mark it on this and show you how it looks. So this is what the dart for the back looks like. So 1 inch from the chest line and 1 inch from the hip line. So if you want it to be so much fitted and you don't want to have a fold at the slipper area, just go in by half an inch here, or from this point come to the waist line here and go in by half an inch, then connect to the edge here. Can you see that? Connect to the edge, and from here also connect down to the hip area. So by the time you will take 1 inch for the zipper allowance, so you have to go inward here to tamper with these measurements. So I will be cutting this off. Also for this area, if you are so ippy, you can just come in by half an inch to here and then connect from here down to the hip area. So right now I'll be trimming this hole this way and then this way. So now after trimming that off, I will just open this hole. So this is what the back will look like. And you see, so by the time you take this and this place, it will be shapeful. Right now we'll go over to the flare part. Right now, before we even go to the flare at all, you need to calculate the length of the flare you need. I will be using a half circle flare for the dress. My total length, that is from the nape of my neck to where I want the dress to stop, including the flare, is what? Is 62 inches. So and remember, I used 38 inches for this. So if I remove 38 inches from 62, I'll be left with 24. And remember, I'll have to hem the lower part. So I will add 1 to it, and that will make it 25. That is for the flare. So now, to calculate our radius, we need to get the circumference of where this main dress will stop. And that is very easy. Let's start from the front panel. Right now, this is on fold. This is for the front. So what you have to do is to measure. Remember, you would have sewn the front and the back together before adding the flare to it. So this is the hemming allowance for the dress. So just start from here. Here I have 10.5 inches. So 10.5 inches times 2, that is 21. Then I will go to the back. This is for the back. So for the front we have 21. So for the back now, remember, we want it to be tapered. We want the butt to show a little bit. So we went in half an inch. So that was why I took the measurement separately. Also remember, we need 1 inch seam allowance to join this back to the front. So that makes it 2 inches. The hemming allowance here and also the zipper allowance, that makes it 2 inches. So all you have to do is to measure 2 inches from the edge here and note wherever it stops. This is where it stops. Then from there, just measure downward. I have 10 inches. It is lesser because of the half inch in which we trim off. So for the back, we have 10 times 2. So that is 20 inches. 20 inches for the back, 21 inches, that makes it 41. So all you have to do is to divide 41 by 3.14. So whatever we get is what we use to cut out the flare. Before folding our flare, we go over the radius and the length of the flare. Remember, the length of the flare we need is 25, as we've said before. And then when I calculated the circumference of the hem of the dress, I calculated it to be 41 inches. But remember, this is going to be open at this part. So you will need some hemming allowance to close it up. So I need 1 inch on both sides. So I will add 2 inches to the 41 inches, and that will make it 43 inches. So now, because it is a half circle flare, I will divide this 43 inches by 3.14, and that will give me 13.69. But I'll just approximate it to 13.6. And remember, I said the length of the flare will be 25 inches, and then the radius is what? Is 13.6 inches. So when I add 25 inches to 13.6 inches, it will give me 38.6. So that will be the length of the flare before I take out my radius and then the length of the flare. How do I fold now? Remember, I needed 38.6 inches. So what I'll do is to measure that 38.6 inches. So here I'll just measure around 39 inches. So let me fold it in a little bit. So now I have 39 inches, but remember I needed 38.6 inches. So having folded it this way, can you see that? Then I will fold it this way again. To be going this way. You see that? So this is what I will have. So this is how to fold for half circle. So there will be opening at the lower part there. So having done that, the next thing is to map out the radius and then the length of the flare. First, I will just map out the length of the flare, which is 38.6 inches. Before the radius, that is the radius plus the length of the flare is the 38.6 inches. So 38.6 inches is here. 38.6 inches. This is half, then 6, just 1. And I'll keep rotating it. So now once that is done, I can now curve it out. End of the flare. The next thing now is to map out the radius. The radius, which is 13.6. So 13.6 will be here. We keep rotating it. 13.6. 13.6. 13.6, all true. So this is the radius. So from here to here is the length of the flare. So remember, we will attach this to the upper dress, that is the main dress. So what I'll do now is to add half-inch seam allowance all through. From that point, half-inch seam allowance, half-inch. So this is the part I will use to add it to the main dress. So this is half an inch. So first I will have to cut this lower part. That's the lower part. Then I'll cut the radius. Remember, I had half an inch seam allowance to join to the main dress. So after cutting it out, so this is what I will have. So this will be the flare I will attach to the lower part. Remember, I left 1 inch hemming allowance on both sides here to close it up. So this is what we will be adding to the lower part. So right now, let's go to the sewing section. Right now I'll take to my sewing machine to take in the dart first. This is the front panel, so I'll take in these darts. I'll just sew this side. Also here I will sew for the back on both sides, here and here. Then after that I will fold in this casing. Remember we left in 1.5 inches, so I will just fold it in this way to have something like this. Then finish up the armhole area with a bias strip, and then I'll come back to show you how it looks. Right now this is for the front. I've taken in the darts. Let me show you. I've taken in the dart on both sides, then I've finished the armhole area. Can you see that? So the next thing now is to fold in the row casing. I might be using the other fabric for the row, just to have a touch of the African print fabric. After doing this, then I will fold this way. You see that? So I will now take to the sewing machine and then sew this. So this is where the rope will go, and then we have your ruffle at the neckline. So that's for the front. Then for the back, I have to fix in my zipper before hemming the upper part. So this is the wrong side now. I've also taken in the darts. Can you see that? So I want my zipper to stop here. So what I will do now is to take to the sewing machine and sew in 1 inch. Here, can you see that? I'll just sew in 1 inch before fixing in my zipper. So now for the front, this is the casing for the row. So that's a side. Now for the back, I have taping on the wrong side where I want my zipper to stop. So I've sewn it, and this is what you have. Then I use my pressing iron to fold in the hemming allowance for the zipper. And make sure you are using a matching zipper too. So this is the zipper I am using. And don't forget to leave 1/2 inch for hemming this upper part before attaching your zipper. So what you have to do, I've made a series of video on how to install a zipper, both for the invisible and then the non-invisible zipper. So this is what I will do. Make sure you leave 1/2 inch so you can use this as a guide from the beginning. So just pin it all down and then you sew. Can you see that? Come this way, then sew it up, and then you have your zipper. Now the zipper has been fixed. This is the wrong side and this is the right side. Can you see that was pretty easy? I also left the 1/2 inch hemming allowance to finish it up with a bias strip, which I will do that now. After doing that, then the next thing is to join both the front and the back together. So the notches has to match. So I will join both the front and the back, and I will show you how it looks. So right now, after sewing the sides, this is what I have. Can you see? This is the back, this is the back, and this is the front. Then for the row, I just cut out the fabric on fold of 39 inches on fold, and then a height of 2 inches, so you can do that. So remember, for the hem of this dress it was 41 inches, so you can just confirm it, just measure it round before sewing the seam allowance I left. Remember, I added it to close up this flare. So this is what I have. So right now I'll turn this to the left side just so that I can attach this to it. So now this is on the left side, and I will put this also on the left side. I'll put it inside this way. Then where the hemming allowance for the flare is, attach it to the hem or the zipper allowance. So before you start pinning all through. So this is what I will have. Then I will start pinning all through. Make sure you confirm your measurements. Then I will keep pinning it all through before taking it to my sewing machine. So I've pinned it all through, and you see what I have. So I'll take to my sewing machine and then sew 1/2 inch hemming allowance. Then I'll bring it back to show you how it looks. So right now I've attached the lower flare to it, and this is what it looks like. And you see that all I have to do now is to hem the lower part. So this is the back, this is what it looks like, and this is the front. So right now I'll just give it a good press and then put it on to show you how it looks. And this is the result of the dress we just made. Can you see it's so easy? Just give it a try and share with us on our Facebook group, Sewing Innovation. You can rock it anyhow, either without inner or not. It depends on you. And you can see the back, it's so long, so just give it a try. If my tutorial has been helpful, give me a thumbs up. And do make sure you share with your friends, subscribe, and bye.